Generals. This is Gamer 1745 here, and I'm just now checking to make sure that the live stream is working, and it looks like it. And it's very good to have, well, Arno, of course, is here first, but also Hank Stofers. He says, "Hi, I'm the scenario designer for Burden of Command. I'm watching, and if you have questions, please ask." Well, that's very good to have you here. I have been following the development of this game for considerable time, and if I haven't said that, yes, that's what we're going to be playing today is Burden of Command. And I played some of the demo, streamed it way back whenever that was. Sorry, I didn't keep up with just how long ago that was. And we're playing the version that they sent me that's out to some of us. So we're going to be looking at that. This is we're starting from scratch, or not from a save. So the developer does talk through it, and we will be going through the training here. But I just want to say, this is a role-playing game, as I gather, as much as a war game, doing air quotes. And I think it's something that has always been hard for war gamers to model, is the I don't know, you want to call it the human factor, the human factor in warfare. Because if you look at a lot of the wars that have happened, I'm not going to say every war everywhere, but a lot of the wars that we have seen are most people don't die that fight in them. It's a morale thing. People give up. People give in. It's even remarkable to me that when it's definitely not, how do we say, guaranteed to be killed if you're going to lose, but even if it's very likely, like in a lot of the samurai battles, and it very much seems that they kill lots and lots of their prisoners. Why do you give up if you're fighting with swords and arrows and these kind of things? People still give up, and knowing that they're likely to be executed after that. Now I've not been in those battles. I don't know what I would do. So that's what I'm sort of looking at this with the subtitle of this series is Why Men Fight. And I think the reason women fight are different than men. So we'll be examining that as we go through this campaign and talking about not just related to the tactics here and the battles presented us here, but the overall why do people fight? Why do men fight? Okay, so we're going to take the campaign, and we playing as the Cottonbalers. I'm going to go with balanced. I want more than just the story. I haven't played this enough that I feel that I want to do, have the tactician be the primary thing. So we'll just go with balanced. I think we're loading in still yet. Okay. I think this is it.
Hello, this is Luke Hughes, lead designer for Burden of Command, and I'm breaking through the fourth wall today, ouch, to thank you. Thank you for taking a risk on something new, a leadership RPG. Now I imagine you're here hoping to test your mettle as a leader, emotionally, morally, tactically, in World War II. For us to give you that experience, it means a risk for you. What's the risk? Well, a new approach obviously requires a learning curve, and we all know learning curves can produce confusion, hell, even frustration, and playtesting has shown that there is a learning curve for Bird. Two kinds. The easier part, where you learn new mechanics, not tried before, and then the much harder ones, where we break some of your likely pretty ingrained assumptions about how, for example, repeated shooting will kill an enemy unit. We instead do something called the 4Fs, which we'll get into later. The point is, I'm going to be breaking in occasionally here to help you with video demonstrations, along with some design explanations about why we break these conventions. But remember, it's all to give you a credible leadership role-playing experience. And hey, we know these fourth wall break-ins may be jarring at times, but extensive playtesting has shown these videos can really help your journey. So please, keep an open mind, and hey, Cottonbaler, good luck out there.
Okay, so we're just going to commence the journey here. Excuse me. September 4th, 1942, Camp Pickett, Virginia. Morning I don't know that I'm going to read all this. Well, ahead, the platoon sergeant Bennett leads the way beneath the canopy. That should be the hill, he notes and gestures towards the rise in the east. A bit of a walk, but we're close. On his back is slung the standard issue M1 rifle, and near the twin of your own. That's what, okay. Well, some of these have highlights, or when you highlight them, you get things. Okay, you said that 10 miles ago. Sounds like he knows where he's going. Now, I picked that. Sounds like he knows where he's going. Because if I'm the lieutenant and the sergeant is saying something like that, I'm presuming that he's saying it and the situation in front of the men. And I would not want, as a platoon leader, I would not want a disagreement to be heard between me and the sergeant. We'll go have those in private, go stand behind a tree somewhere and figure out the map or something if we need to. We don't do that in front of the troops. We'll maybe get to some of that in this game and whatnot. But just give you my thinking on it. There's no reason to second guess him. If a man can't admit he's wrong when he's definitely wrong, then he's not much of a leader. Sergeant Bennett has been in the Army since before the big draft in 40. He knows his way around. Okay, yeah, here, remember this. Now, here, you can, by what you pick, will change stats, shall we say. I don't know how much for the unit versus how much for you, but I've been in the Army for a while too, so this sets background as a regular. You get prestige as how much influence you have with your superiors after the scenario is over. Background, a 90-day wonder. Trust plus trust is how well your men react to your orders. Loyalty background set to reservist loyalty is how much influence you have over the men after a scenario is over. Okay, so get more from the command, get more from your men. Trust. I don't know. Let's see. So, yeah, we'll be a reservist returning to the Army, I guess. Background set to reservist, loyalty +1. When you know your former trade, though it did take a few months to blow the rust off, it's good that you had time to do that because the Germans and the Japanese seem determined to light the world on fire. The U.S. has yet to send many divisions overseas, but you know it's only a matter of time. Time to move.
So here I am, in boot camp somewhere in Virginia, 1942, just like you will be soon. I'm going to start with our first concept that will be familiar and unfamiliar, your first learning curve aspect. So, like games like XCOM and frankly many tactical games these days, we use action points. We call them orders and they have the green dots. So this leader has 4 action points. And no surprise, when he say moves, he spends an action point, which you can see happening there.
U.S. Army will go to war in earnest soon. As an officer, your duty will be to lead the men of your platoon. You just have to find them first. Mouse over to look for icons for history or image notes. Okay, left click to select the unit, and then right click. There. Oh, excuse me. Closer now. Hills and mountains are always further than they seem. The gray circle that you saw float up indicates the expenditure of an order. Burden of command runs on orders. Every unit has some, and you can't do anything but get shot without one. Okay. You can always be shot, I presume. Yes. Orders are spent to move a unit. You can usually move a unit multiple times. Okay, so it's a good view, good enough to see a few stragglers from your first platoon. Looks like the kitchen patrol is still on their way to the obstacle course. Sergeant Bennett knows if we let them dog things, they'll never, I'm not used to some of that language, they'll never get there before dinner. Okay, I'll order them to move up, yell down at those men, way forward. Okay, so no change. Character traits reflects how much a leader likes to talk. It does not impact tactical, but may personally. Okay, well, I'm going to do not.
This is a leadership RPG. We're always going to be focused on bringing out leadership aspects. In the Army, leaders are in charge of platoons, which is a group of squads or companies. And so there's a command structure, and we do that too. This is a squad here, part of my rifle platoon. For it to do something, I've got to order it. Or, if you want to make it simpler, activate it. So, did you see an order came up on me? Not just a squad. The squad paid its action point, but I'm just going to say order from now on. But I paid an order because effectively I ordered the squad.
You gain their attention and call out an order condition. By training they obey. The squad must be activated to utilize their own orders. A leader will spend an order to activate a squad when that squad initially shoots, moves, etc. Once the squad has been activated, they have enough direction that they can then expend 2 or even 3 orders without requiring further order for the rest of the round. Okay, good. As if I see, because how do I put this? When I play a lot of war games, I micromanage the troops. One of the games I play a lot for Slytherin is Armored Brigade 2. And that comes very close to my training, with an ROTC way back many years ago. I feel because of the AIs in a lot of the games, they don't behave well. So I like to micromanage. Now, I look at that as being not so much that I would micromanage on the battlefield, but that I would micromanage, if you will, in the training field, so that by the time we get to the battlefield, the units, whatever they may be, tanks, infantry, whatever, um, would you know would know my tactical ideas. If I tell a platoon of tanks to go somewhere, they would just know that, oh well, we would go and deploy in this type of formation. But the AIs to me don't do that well. But so I think I get this. So let's left click squad, move the squad. So we're going to move the squad.
This squad has been activated. The leader no longer needs to pay an order to activate it. So let's move it, and you'll see no action from the leader. He didn't spend another order.
Basically, we pulled the squad back a hex. So they have 2 green. He has 1 green left.
So I'm going to come down there, join my squad, lead, grab them both, and go somewhere. Now this time, they'll both pay an order. But be careful, it's not an activation order. They're both moving. You don't get a free ride. You got to pay for the move too. So, there you go. We're similar to games you're used to. Action points. But in this case, they're really orders, and they involve things like squad activation.
Here they are. Sergeant Bennett notes as Sergeant Layton, no relation, and his kitchen patrol reached the summit. Layton, can you see the obstacle course from here? Breathless. Hey, Arno. Sergeant Layton nods in the affirmative. His fellow spud peeler are all but ready to drop. Okay, so they're they can't be very far. They were in better shape. From this height, you can also see a little stream whose serpentine channel marks the bounds of your own training area. The stream isn't far, which is a good thing. The stream, like other terrain, costs movement points to cross than flat open land. Because the stream, like other terrain, cost more. I guess let's get more. You won't always be able to get somewhere in a single order, especially with a squad in tow. One last push should put your boots beside the stream. Spent perhaps, but in position nonetheless. However, first will have to detach from Layton's squad. Okay. So let's see. First left click of the hex selects both units. Second left clicks of the portrait leader or the squad below will select only that unit. Do not follow Luke's example in the squad and instead rebel and left click the leader portrait repeatedly until only the leader is highlighted. You will see the selected portrait or unit encircled, then you move the leader out. They will separate from the squad. Okay, so that is correct. This lieutenant unnamed.
Honestly, it would have been simplest to design the game as 1 unit per hex, like many games do. But frankly, it just felt wrong not to have leaders in with their men leading them. So we committed to simple stacking. 1 leader, 1 squad per hex. So then how do you manage selection? It's simple. Click any unit in the hex, both select, because you probably want to move both of them normally. But maybe you just want to move the leader this time. Click again. And here I am. So I'll do the same thing again. I'll click the squad, and I go back and forth between just the squad and both.
Oh boy. Getting overrun with Dutchmen again. Arno likes to have company from his neighbors. Okay, so down by the stream. Down by the stream, let's take a breather. Sergeant Bennett suggests. But we're almost there. At this point, your leader should be out of orders. There are 3 to move your leader, 1 to activate the KP squad. KP squad itself moves twice, the normal amount for Green Rifle Squad. Orders refresh. The start of a new game turn. Okay, no need for order. Yes, it is a Dutch invasion gamer. Be afraid, be very, very afraid. Yes, yes. I mean, if Jan shows up, well then, hell. Out of orders, which we can't do anything. What if I didn't move the squad? Veteran squads have more orders. Okay, yes, I guess that. So we'll proceed. Very true. Once those are gone, a unit can't do much. But be a target. Everything important in Burden of Command costs an order. 1 to move a leader, an order. 1 to move a squad. Leader pays an order to activate the squad. Then the squad expends its own orders to take actions. Shooting or assaulting. We'll get to those, but yep, an order. Since there are currently no enemy units around, just pass the round until a new game turn begins. Right, okay, end the turn down here. Yeah, looks like we have some Vichy French or something down there, maybe. But yeah. The forest thins, at last you spy a hint of civilization, a little wooden bridge that crosses a gully and a low wooden wall behind it. The clearing should be just up ahead, Lieutenant. The movement order can span a single hex or fort, but an order costs the remains the same. Oh, focus here as well. All right, move your leader there. Assembly point is a simple one, marked by a low retaining wall striped with white. At the sight of it, Sergeant Bennett flashes you a grin and stashes the map. There's a figure waiting in the lee of the wall, a fellow officer with the silver bars of a captain upon his collar, and a dreaded clipboard. Uh-oh, a clipboard. Now that is scary, people. You're nearly late, Lieutenant, the field umpire notes as he regards you. The pencil in his grasp has doomed plenty of officers to obscurity with swift judgments. I guess we'll salute. As John Wayne said in picturing the movie and blanking on the name, never apologize. It's a sign of weakness. Sergeant Bennett gives an affirming warning cough, but it comes too late. The field umpire shakes his head slightly. When out in the field, such gestures are apt to attract snipers. I was attracting a sniper. Remain silent at this point. But today you'll undertake a leadership exercise consisting of no less than 3 separate field problems. The field umpire says you and your men will be assessed based on the outcomes, including both the objectives achieved and the casualties sustained. You will take command of your rifle squad, and we will proceed. Any questions? We just need to find the squad, Sergeant Bennett said. Doubt we'll need more than a few waypoints on the map to figure out where they are at. Lead the way. Lead the way. Squad. Blam, the field umpire calls out from behind you over open ground. Lieutenant Einstein, you moved over open ground where a sniper could see you. That's potentially a fatal risk to take, and a leader does not help, or dead leader does not help anyone unless you've got a good reason for avoiding moving through cover. You might as well take the effort to not get shot. Right, waypoints. Okay. Safely. Right, there's no point in pushing a turd. Best get moving before someone decides to get shot again. Okay. Lieutenant, you are revived from the sniper call. Continue with the exercise. Our squad looks beat. Lieutenant says it's true, but by all appearances, they can't possibly take another step. Some might say their morale is low. Right now, it's a dog-dick low, like they've been suppressed by enemy fire, but they don't have to stay that way now, do they, Lieutenant? Would you suggest that you give them a speech, directness? Give them forcibly. Now, officers should not be the one that's forcibly getting the men to do things. That's an NCO's job. So we're going to not do that. So we're going to give him a speech. You could, Lieutenant Sergeant, but it might even work if you lead them forward. Either way, I'll kick a little ass on the slackers. Yeah, now that's an NCO's job.
Thank you, Sergeant Bennett. Sergeant Bennett is reminding me I need to teach you about the backbone of your company's performance. It's morale. So here we have a good order squad. It's green, no suppression, has 2 orders, moves about 3 hexes, tries to move under fire, pass the morale check to do that, about 70%. And if it fires at an enemy, 50-50. Now notice those initiative wheels, donuts I like to call them. You really want to win initiative, because if you win initiative, you fire first, you suppress the enemy, reduce their morale, and then their fire back will be weak. Now let's look by contrast at this shaken company. It's yellow, it's lost about half its morale to suppression. First thing to notice, subtly, is it only moves 2 squares forward, can still retreat, because they're more cautious, because they're shaken. Also, let's notice one more thing, only 1 order. So the morale is actually reduced the total quantity of actions you can give this squad. Pretty bad. And guess, if you fire at them, not going to go so well. You're going to lose. And the morale check's unlikely. Finally, let's look at these poor guys. About 9 points of suppression. They're red. They're basically cowering. They won't even move forward. Though you can still move them back to get rallied, maybe behind a hill or in some cover. I wouldn't bother trying to fire. Not gonna work, and you can give up on assault. Now, friend, let's have a little fun here. This is a 3-star unit, very experienced. What do you notice? It's got 3 orders, not 2. That's a big win. And guess how it's going to do in firefights? Very well. And guess how it's going to do on morale checks? Hey, it doesn't even have to pass a morale check to move under fire. Work hard, Captain. Maybe you'll have units like this eventually. Lead them well.
Hey Arno, yeah, I can look into it. I don't know. I thought you should still be a moderator on YouTube, Arno. So, I don't know. I'll look into it. If I don't remember too soon, you can talk to me, in Discord, and we can figure it out. Okay, rally will remove suppression. It will also expend all of the squad's, not the leader's, remaining orders. Now, I guess there's nobody to ban at the moment, but to rally, you must not have expended any orders during the turn. It must be fresh. Your men want guidance and leadership, and that's why you're with them. Most leaders must be grouped up with a squad to utilize certain orders. A captain would be an exception to that, but we do not have to worry about that right now because you all currently are as a single lieutenant. All right. Select a leader. Select the leader and the squad. Doing that this wrong. Oh, okay. Yeah, yes, we got both now, right? And then left click here. Okay, the face. Okay, I guess we got to right click up here instead of over there. Rallying requires a fresh squad. Fresh squad, no suppression. This squad has expended an order, no longer fresh. Okay. It's out of orders, yes. It's available orders, it will be fresh. Okay. Probably on the unit. Yeah, I was using the portrait of the squad, yes. If the enemy doesn't interrupt, the men will be ready to move shortly. You indicate as much to the umpire. A wave of blue flags are exchanged. The exercise will shortly resume as long as either side.
Anyone got a light?
Yeah, I don't want to leave my squad at the moment. Okay, end their time. Yeah, you are ready. The men are ready. The enemy is likely ready. Well, good. The enemy's ready. Got to give them time. The enemy had a round to activate units, but did nothing with it. Interesting that the enemy did nothing in response. Well, maybe waiting to ambush you, Wonder what the clipboard wants to happen next, Sergeant Bennett asked quickly. As if on cue, the field umpire clears his throat. All right, Lieutenant Einstein. The enemy squad is in that house down there, he says, and ignores Bennett as he points. You can hear the clockwork tick of his watch, faint but steady. Deploy your men and take them under fire. Remember, this exercise is time. Okay, squad versus squad. Numbers would be a tough one. Would be a tough one. Movement in the trees, a dozen men. Okay, let me read this. Movement. In the trees, a dozen men and more in olive drab, all working their way closer. These are your men, sweaty and dusted from the obstacle course. And at the back is Sergeant Grant urging the stragglers on. No, we got it. We got to keep momentum going. I get you, Lieutenant, especially in my mind, in training, because if you fuck up, nobody's dead. I mean, you got guys panting, hardly can move, maybe not thinking clearly because their brain is starved of oxygen, all that kind of stuff. Well, okay, they do something that fucks it up, you do something that fucks it up, whatever it is, it's just training. But you're pushing yourself, you're pushing your unit. So it might be very, very different in my mind if I was taking a squad actually against the real enemy, not training them. All right. I get you, Lieutenant. Sergeant Bennett says we're out here to train so we can fight. When we're off facing against the Germans, we'll have to fight like we trained. The enemy may not like it. They'll sure as hell gripe about it, but Grant over there will get them in gear. I trained him myself. Right. Let's bolster their spirits. Sergeant Bennett says that way boost morale, though it won't last for long, but maybe it will be just enough for what comes next.
Remember Sergeant Bennett's wise comment that morale is the backbone of your company's performance? Well, what do you think the role of leadership is then? Of course, it's to manage that morale. Let's look at your tools. One of them is bolster. So here we have a good order unit. And if we were to attack, it'd be 50-50 on the attack. It moves 3 squares. It has 70% morale check. But let's bolster it. A lot more movement. Hey, it's going to pass that morale check. And look at the firefight. Bolster enhances an already good unit so it is significantly more effective, especially for firefights. The experience and the trust of the leader comes to bear. Don't make the mistake, however, of thinking of bolster as sort of a poor man's rally, rally for one action. I've moved the leader down to this shaken squad, half morale, and I'm thinking, well, it's pretty poor for a firefight right now. Maybe I'll bolster it and it'll be fine. Well, there's some improvement. If you studied this, you'd see the suppressed predictions are a little bit better, but you're still going to lose initiative. It's not a rally. If you want a unit with shaken or below morale to improve, rally. Rally, by contrast, fully restores morale for the long term. Of course, it does take a turn to do, so you'll have to pick the time and place for when you rally, for when you bolster, or for when you orchestrate your platoon and company to be effective all at once, rather than dribble in an attack on the enemy.
A bolster order will provide a boost to the morale of a unit. That unit moves, shoots, or does anything else that has the unit expend an order. Unlike rally, this does not remove suppression, but a bolster can boost maximum morale. Okay. All right. Bolster the squad. All right. And what's that? Handshaking, I guess. Did you get this? No. And then right click that. Okay. I left clicked it the first time. We're ready. Where to, Lieutenant? Should we have Grant march down or go ahead? Time to make a decision. There's a lot of things you might want to order, but there is never enough time for the men to carry those out. Nonetheless, you prepare to do what you can. Okay, detached leader moves the squad, move the squad to the waypoints. Mm, let's. No, we don't want to rally that squad. Um, hmm, 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 hmm. Hey, Martin Smith, how you doing? I'm having fun thinking through my units. Okay. I think this will use up one of my leaders' 3. So let's move this squad up. Activate it. Yes. Okay. And now this is going to come to here. Okay. So they're now from there. There they are. Sergeant Bennett says, as your men pass the word that they have sighted movement in the house, but those damn walls give them better cover than anything we've got nearby. The umpire with a clipboard makes a note, a lengthy one. Uh oh, clipboard again. Well, I didn't want to worry about the one unit to rally because I figured it takes too long. I want to keep this moving, maybe not making the best choices, but give the men some direction, and the umps will take note. Sergeant Bennett says every little bit helps. So, um, these guys. Come down here. Okay, I took up too many. Okay, what's left? I wanted to get a. Um, okay, so here we have a high chance to win initiative, so we're going to fire. And I wanted to get these guys to be fired on from 2 directions. But your squad just opened fire without a plan. We'll bet we could get some. I like the little tings of um, the end block clips coming out of the M1 Grand. That's a cool touch. That's a really cool touch. That likely resulted in little suppression. Okay. Whistle blows, exercise halts as the umpire gets to work figuring out the damage to the enemy. Sergeant Bennett waits for you. Halt the exercise. You pushed ahead and did not form up your platoon prior to the attack. This would have resulted in some of your men being killed in addition. Okay, but speed was of the essence. Speed is of no value if there is insufficient force to achieve the objectives. With that, you return to your platoon. Keeping the men. Okay. No, I did not do that. The actual firing well. I'm doing fine. Been doing college and working at college. Good to hear you. Yeah. Well, thank you. No good answer. It's not done everything right. Yep, not sounds true. I had to teach this lesson over and over again. Actual war is a hell of a thing. Good page of blood, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so we ended in a draw. Amend the mission. Okay. I'm going to continue with.
A good leader needs to be able to think ahead, anticipate a situation, and make a decision based on the best information available.
Yes, it's Vichy France. Okay. Why are you in the army? This is my duty. Yes. Let's take a moment here, since we do have a few people and mostly interacting on YouTube, but also over on Twitch, live streaming there, as well as live streaming over on the Green channel or the Green service as well. So we do have viewers in multiple locations here today. Why men fight? I would like to hear if you guys want to put, Folk, Martin Smith, Hank, Arno, why do, because, and I think women's motivations to go to war to fight, and I'm not talking about guys fighting in a bar room or other sort of, kids on the playground as the testosterone is building up, or, you see these, fight videos between women in stores. I'm not talking about that kind of fighting, that people just get frustrated and lashing out at somebody. The proverbial road rage, but, and walking around in life. I'm talking about fighting in wars. I would love to hear, and I'll give you some of my ideas, and as well as I'm having an ongoing debate with a new friend of mine, give you his views of why men fight. But I would love to hear what you guys say. So please think about it. I really would, and I'll give you mine. I don't want to. Congratulations of foreign or continuation of foreign politics by other means. Well, yes, okay, that's going to Clausewitz. Politics is warfare by other means, or diplomacy technically, but I expanded to politics, including internal. He was looking at conflicts between states. And politics is warfare by other means, and warfare is politics by other means. But the motivation for it is what I'm talking about, Hank, is not, resources and, in the earlier years, faith. Individual soldiers are it's the same. Why? I mean, once you're in the army, you're in the army. But why are people willing to do something that puts their life in danger? So that's from a politico, a king, a president, or whatever, down to the populace. Because you can look at the beginnings of wars, people volunteering, mass volunteering up. Why do they fight? This is my duty. Duty to what? This will help me defend those I love. Okay, so defense. They drafted me for this shit. Now, my friend believes that the reason people fight is greed. And it's sort of going what Arno says is resources. Hard to say resources and power. I think faith is often used as an excuse. Okay, so like my friend says, greed. Greedy people. They want to. It's greed. Motivation is. He thinks the primary motivation for big things is greed. Now, I would challenge that to say, hey, let's just put ourselves in, the Middle Ages where you don't have the identity of nationality. It's just various lords, whatever. And you have, your valley, your lord of the valley, and whatnot. And you're growing plenty of, let's say, wheat and corn. Well, corn's from the Americas, but wheat and rye and other stuff, and you're plentiful. And the next valley over, there's an iron mine. Okay, now that's a different lord over there. You can buy all the iron you want by trading with him for your corn. Okay? And that's the cheapest and easiest thing to do to get that iron, is to trade your corn. Why would you attack him if it's all about resources and power? Or greed. I mean, sort of greed, because hey, you have complete access. Oh, wait a minute, you don't have complete access to that iron. It's most likely because they want to serve their country or their land. Some join simply because there's nothing else left to do. Yeah, I hear that, but so your community, because see, this is two communities. They both, speak French or speak English. They both have the same religion. They both, they're just, but it's my community and that other community. Why would I attack that community to take his iron? We've got all the, we can trade for all the iron we need. So why would we attack? Because the Lord says we need to. Oh, wait a minute. There's one of him, and there's a whole big bunch of the enemy over there. We just killed the Lord because we're his troops. That's just one guy to fight instead of having to fight all those other guys that were there. Why do we follow this leader? And we know some of us are going to die in this, if we go to war, because not all of us are coming home. Well, here is the reason. Sort of coming along to that one. Help defend those I love. The reason you attack the guy because he has an iron mine is, and it's going to be more expensive to do the attack. And it's going to be more expensive because of loss of life, pay for food to supply your soldiers during the siege of his castle, etc., etc. It's going to be more expensive to go take it by force than it would be simply to trade. The reason you attack him is when you really need that iron, it could be denied to you because it's not in your control. It's not a greed situation. It's a security situation. By securing the resource, by securing the necessary resource of iron to whether you make arrowheads or armor or metal buckets, it doesn't matter. It's a resource. It's to secure access to that resource. It is security. It is not greed, because in this model that I've formed up here, is it would be cheaper to trade because he's, that Lord has mountainous land and it doesn't provide, enough food for all of his people. So he wants a bunch of your grain that you have down here. But, and he doesn't have a whole lot of people. He has some nice fortification, but he doesn't have a whole lot of people because he can't, support him by the grain. Well, your people will go and fight and die to get that iron to secure it for security reasons. So security is a motivating factor for people, for communities to fight. That is different than greed. The other thing is, and I know Arno said over on Twitch, resources. I didn't know if he meant that as greed or security. And security could also be, we need to secure that mountain pass. If we control the mountain pass, the raiders can't come and attack us or whatever. It doesn't have to be a physical, a resource like food or iron. Okay, Arno specified as greed, his resource. And in earlier years, faith. Okay, this is what we see it primarily in the 20th century is the propaganda. And I do know, Arno, forget the word faith. People don't fight for faith. They fight for ideology, okay? Ideology. Now, the ideology may be that we're fighting for God, or the ideology may be that we're fighting for scientific socialism because God is just a placebo, a myth, So it's ideology. Do the communists, the people that believed in, scientific socialism, are they greedy? Well, maybe in a way, but the average person is more tearing down the elites and trying to level society. So they're fighting for their ideology, or whether it's national socialism. I want to use that word so YouTube doesn't get too upset, or fascism, or democracy, or the king's right to rule. It's an ideological reason, which may be a faith as well. I would say greed is one of the factors that motivates people to go to war, to fight. Now, and I know some of the viewers, I don't know if any of you that are here right now have been soldiers and have been fighting in the field. And a lot of that, by the time the bullets are flying, you're fighting for your brother soldiers of your unit, and you're fighting as a unit. That's different. I'm talking about the motivations for a society, for a group of people to go to war. And so I would put greed maybe in the top 10, and I'd have to think of some other factors, but the top 2 would be security. Now, from sort of the American perspective, sitting off on another continent, they may see that as defending. The ideology of just Hitler and the National Socialists, they believe security needed Lebensraum. To be secure, you needed enough room to grow enough food, so you weren't dependent upon importing food from foreign sources. So I would not put the National Socialists' reason for conquest as greed, but as security for the German people and ideological conflicts, particularly with the communists. They weren't worried about ideological conflicts with the liberal West because they thought it was weak and ineffective. So who cares? Let them be democratic. I mean, who cares about weak? They were worried about that strong ideology of the communists, so that they wanted to fight that, and they were going to be strong. So the weak, the liberals, the Democrats, they were just weak and divided, so they could always be conquered if needed. And so Hitler was looking for Lebensraum, for security, and he was often worried about particular resources and securing access to them, because he knew that from the experience of World War I, that trade could be cut off, and Germany wasn't going to be able to use the seas. They might deny the seas to the enemy through U-boats, but they weren't going to create large fleets of submarine transports to transport, some ores from South America or something to Germany, beyond the British blockade. Even if they sunk most of the British fleet, they still weren't going to be able to run it. So I think the top 2 are an ideology, which, yes, in the past would have been Christianity or Islam, or a faith, what we would consider a religion, but an ideology conflict. And the other I would put as security. Now, this doesn't explain everything, and I really don't think, maybe it's greed, but maybe it's ideology. I don't know, something like the Mongol conquest, especially under Genghis Khan in the early days, because they would often destroy everything that in regions that they would conquer. So it wasn't like they wanted it for themselves. They just would destroy it. Maybe it was, and I don't know enough about their culture. Maybe it was a belief that they had a mandate from heaven to conquer the world, or maybe it was just their way of life of battle. That instead of battling each other, it was Temujin, Genghis, whatever, the Great Khan. Instead of battling each other, he battles the foreigners. Let's see what Focus said here. If the question is why men opposed to women fight, that is because men are genetically programmed to fight. Now that's another thing. Groups of prehistoric humans where males could fight, or where males could not fight, died out. Oh yes. Yes, combined with harsh defeat in World War I. And see, exactly, Hank, World War I shows Germany that it needs to, for security, it needs access to resources. And one of the major resources that Germany is finally has to give in is food. They were trying at the time of collapse, they were trying to reorganize Ukraine to be the breadbasket for Germany. But it was going to take time, and they weren't being given time because of the American pressures on the Western Front. And so that's that. Psychologically, men may be more projecting their hatred of fathers due to penis envy on the enemy. Fighting enemy is socially approved outlet for men's repeatable. Yes. The pedal impulse, which is coming from the Greek tragedy, where the guy unknowingly gets with his mother and then rips his eyes out. Yes. Hey, Jamnuska, how you doing? I was looking for this, and my main worry is replay value. Jamnuska, you might want to jump over to YouTube and ask that very question, or I will ask the question. Jamnuska has known of this game, and he says his main worry was replay value in the game. Hank, do you want to put anything in on that? Got any input there? I'll repeat it if Jamnuska doesn't come over to YouTube. Well, this is one thing that somebody has speculated, genetics has speculated why women like bad boys. And the whole theory or something that, they can fix them. Well, somebody else has hypothesized that it's genetic, that women like bad men, and not just tough men or strong men, but abusive men, shall we say. Not necessarily physically abusive, but might be, cheat on them or whatever or whatnot. And the hypothesis, again, I don't know that any of this is true, but the hypothesis is that genetically over the eons, so much reproduction has been done by rape that is somehow genetically affected survival skills or something like that. And so that is why women like the bad boys, because it's genetically programmed into them. I don't know. I don't know how much fighting is necessarily programmed into us genetically. I keep confusing whether it's rat utopia or mouse utopia, but it really doesn't matter. If you want to look up, you can probably look up it on Wikipedia. And it's something within the last couple of years I've been exposed to the idea of, and how, whether it's rats or mice. I'll read your response here in just a second. Rats or mice, doesn't really matter. How they respond if they're giving a utopia. Basically, their society collapses and they all die out, literally, after a couple of generations. Not the first generation. And so, and especially in the Western world, we're seeing a lot of the effects of, I'll call it rat utopia, modeled in humanity. Now, humans are animals, but we are definitely a further planning, further thinking, more adaptable species than rats or mice or whatever. Yes, we're both mammals. And and also I will also say that I see, observing, a lot more, particularly men, dying after retirement, quickly after retirement, than working men, even those that continue to work. And so what it may be, and I don't know, it could just be old age, that particular thing, but it may be humanity, and particularly men, need the sense of struggle, need the sense of purpose. So whether it needs to be fighting or, building something out in the wilderness. So, yeah, genetics is an interesting element there. Okay. Hank says, we have 3 levels. Each level makes gameplay different. AI can behave differently according to the choice you make. Choices in this narrative also can have different outcomes. And that's referring to replayability there, Jamnuska. Outcomes in battle also have influence on the prestige and loyalty you can earn. Okay. That's at least part of his answer on replayability. I would say also, once this, because I see this as a very new concept being developed, but once the, shall we say, engine and framework and the way it functions is well developed, this should be yes, I'm sure it would, be a DLC or a fresh game or whatever. I don't, and this is just my speculation. But once this is polished off, I don't see why the developers couldn't, pick a different campaign, whether it's the Americans in the Pacific or the Germans on the Eastern Front, or the British, taking a platoon that retreats out of, from Dunkirk, boy, and then gets sent to North Africa and fights on up, up through Italy or something like that. I don't see why this couldn't be again, whether it be a DLC or fresh game, but once they get this, the game engine and everything nailed down, I don't see why this couldn't be thing. Yes. Okay. And the official answer, we are going to do more DLC. Yes. Now that would, of course, be more money. Who knows? They might make a short free DLC, but presumably more money. So yeah, and I would once you get everything nailed down and the concept. So why why how do you motivate people? Because and a lot of people wanted to, and it's sort of been asked here a bit, whether it's the infantrymen or the officers, the higher ups. The infantryman, or the tanker, or the individual sailor who's passing the ammunition on a ship. They're the ones that are most likely to die, or their immediate officers. The officer running around to get sniped in this game. The higher leadership, depending on the situation, but has more and more of a chance to live. But I would say, to a point, they have greater stress on them than the average person. So some armies, the higher leadership is more detached, and I think that is not because when we look at it or look back at it, we might sort of just say, oh, they don't care about the peasants or the average soldier. I think to a point they have to detach themselves, because if they think about, oh, hey, I just got 10,000 people killed today on my side, whether that battle was a success or a failure, if you don't detach yourself to some degree from that, that would be, huge amounts of guilt or whatever. But I was getting to this interesting fact. Admiral Nimitz, the basically commander of the Pacific War, and we could argue how much control he had over over MacArthur, but he was definitely controlling the main cross Pacific, and definitely had the stronger position over MacArthur. MacArthur tactically could do what he wanted, but strategically, because MacArthur needed ships, and where the ships, how many, whether it was carriers or battleships or troop transports, landing craft, who was going to get the assign, how many of those to how much you could do. That was always up to Nimitz. So, Nimitz wasn't trying to tell him, how to fight his battles, but, how much supplies you get, how much whatever limits MacArthur's operations at times. So Nimitz is in charge. Nimitz felt constant pressure. There was one time, and one time only, that he could get away from that pressure. One thing he could do to get away from that pressure. Not sleep, because I think he would dream about this. It was shooting. To the point that they built him a private pistol range right outside of his building, his office building in Hawaii. I think they built another one when he moved up to Guam. But so he could go there, and it's sort of like a Zen idea. He would shoot pistols, and while shooting, he was giving 100% focus to shooting the pistol. So that was the only time of day that the war was not foremost in his mind. All the rest of his time, eating, sleeping, talking to people, he would, for health reasons, he would run too, but he would often walk on sandy beaches, not down at the water where it's hard, but up where it's soft to sort of walk through that. But he would walk with staff members or other commanders and talk about, plans. And so it was a constant stress on Nimitz for the Pacific War. And so the only time was that Zen moments that, like, daily he would go out for, I don't know, half an hour or whatever. And as he's pulling that trigger, he's purely thinking about shooting the target. And so that's, stress relief. So I would say that, get back to motivating people for the war. And I'm looking at, you can say it takes two to fight. True. And we can see the idea that the divided France, that, was still very much in shock from World War One, does not fight well. We can see Norway, which their main strategy was hope. Nobody attacks us. Okay, yeah. Hey, everybody, we're going to hope nobody attacks us. Yeah, we'll have a few rifles and some pistols and a couple of floaty things that have guns on them, but we're going to hope nobody attacks us. And so both of those groups of people are at the mercy, if you will, of their conquerors. So defense here. But Americans in World War One, they weren't defending their homes. In World War II, they really weren't defending their homes either. They got enraged that, Pearl Harbor was attacked. But they need a motivation, which is, so I would say whether you're the German or you're the Russian, you can very much say, I'm fighting to defend the ones that I love. They may be the Germans are invading, Russia. I'm not trying to talk politics here, but just, Germany invading, geographically Russia. That may be seen by them as a defensive measure because they think they'll be attacked someday, and they want that Lebensraum to, produce enough food, etc., etc. So they may see that, the best defense is an offense kind of thing in their motivation, and the Russian people, under the Soviet regime, may be more convinced that they're the good guys because even though they've, invaded Poland and the Baltic states, they're just doing it to defend themselves from the evil Nazis. So, but the Americans, they get brought into the war, and there is a huge amount of patriotic surge after Pearl Harbor, but they all get directed towards Germany. And that, I think, is a brilliant propagandistic move, as to go. And it takes years to get there, including Edward R. Murrow's live broadcasts from Britain, during the Blitz attacks, and he was broadcasting and making it seem, rightly so, I would say, but making it seem that civilization was under attack by the dark forces. And I would agree with that. I'm not trying to fight or disclaim the politics of it, but that gets the American people, in essence, to fight the evil, which is, I would say, different than, well, maybe if you think the evil is eventually going to come to the ones you love, but they do it. I'd agree. Okay, so let's continue with the game here. I just wanted to talk about that. And I don't, as you can tell, I have ideas on why people fight. I don't have, like everything in life, it's complicated. It isn't, we're trying to distill it down. Okay. Are you in the army? Nah. We're going to go duty. Just like that. The exercise is over. All right. Okay, continue. Aid your men. Got to take care of your men. Okay. Decide where to help. Make change. Cost to public. Excuse me. Performance. You can see overall unit statistics. Select the unit. Training only XP trust for leaders will be available to modify. Combat stress will appear only when you're in actual combat. Okay. Click through, yeah. Okay, so we have loyalty here, prestige, 4 platoons. Okay. And that used, we can undo that, just 7, so going to +1 went to 2. And down here, if we're trying to build a good unit, that used a little bit more, and we got some loyalty there with that squad. Okay. We will continue the journey. A second chance, because we had a draw.
Well, it was infantry. And infantry is different than cavalry. We didn't have horses, but they had light tanks, the cavalry did.
So
And
what kind of training then would you have in the infantry?
Bayonet, hand grenade. You don't throw a hand grenade like a baseball, you lob it.
Tell you an interesting thing about that. Americans, men, boys, whatever, grow up learning to throw a baseball. So the Army designs a grenade like a baseball. But, and it has a, you pull the pin on it, and I'm trying to remember all this. You pull a pin on it, and it's a very round grenade. But with training, and I know that a lot of you are European, so you don't know this instinctively, but and so you'd hold it in your hand, and the one sort, your hand would wrap around it, and the one sort of place you weren't holding, you would make sure that you weren't holding, would have sort of a pressure, a pressure plate, a pad, or whatever. I mean, it was a piece of metal that was designed that when that impacts the ground, it would blow up. Okay, so you'd pull the pin, throw the grenade like a baseball at the enemy, and it would blow up, right? But you're throwing it like a baseball. So, and I know you don't see this, but so you pull the pin, but then with a baseball, you normally, before you throw it, you reconnect your hand, your right hand if you're right-handed, to your left hand that has the glove, so that they couldn't get the guys to not once you pull the pin and get ready to throw it, you sort of put your hands together, which would put your hand on the pressure plate to blow it up. So they couldn't, so it never got issued. It was just, they made a bunch for test. But it's a really interesting idea. But the sort of boyhood mechanics would, once you get ready to go, you sort of pull it back, but you sort of put your hands together again and to throw it. So that would always, make that sort of baseball grenade, excuse me, not work. So that was just when he said you lob it. Can't pick Virginia. Okay. We're gonna try this again. Yes. Wave stern over. Plate, yes. Training. Subjective. Combined arms assault farmhouse down there. Time will be. And looks your way. Tell me what to hit, and we'll hit it. Even though for you to slip right over, we'll have to pretend to anyways. Back to your platoons, lieutenants. I don't want to do sarcasm, either more or less. We want to see how your men perform with their rifles before we include machine guns. Stern gives you a winking nod that news. 3 rifle squads. I'm just trying to get through all this quickly here. Each platoon has a leader in command. Stern is in charge of the weapons platoon. We've got everything but tanks. Each platoon will have a different role to play. Rifles expend up to 2 orders to shoot, but only 1 to move. Machine guns expend 1 order to shoot, but cost at least 2 to move. Mortars cost at least 2 to move and up to 2 to fire. Okay.
Bennett tells me you're progressing, LT. So today we get to talk about tactics, not just mechanics. Without further ado, why don't we go to, I think, the core of how we're different from most tactical games that the casual gamer or others might be familiar with, namely bang, 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 you're dead games. This is true a fair number of tactical World War II games too, but I don't think of reality. People don't want to die. You fire at them, they're going to get down behind the stone wall, and your bullets aren't going to do much. So instead you need what's called the 4Fs. So here we are in Germany. You've got elements of a rifle platoon. You've got Germans up north. And your goal is to suppress them first. You're not going to succeed in killing them. They're in pretty good cover. And they're going to put their heads down. So you've started firing. But it's not just bang, bang, bang even for suppression. You have to be smart. You have to use your leadership. You have to bolster. Improving their fire. The leader is directing the fire here. He's using a heavy weapon, which is intimidating. Higher rate of fire. Puts more bullets around the squad. And, when you hear bullets whizzing by, you start to be suppressed, meaning you're keeping your head down. And you can see the color bars here are telling us the state of the enemy's morale. They've gone from green to yellow, and they will shortly be at red. They've been doing an effective job here. He's suppressed.
Whistle blows. Field problem begins. You got to finish it before turn 2. Okay, so select the squad and then right click to shoot, and it consumes 1 leader order and up to 2 rifle orders. Okay, so we will select this squad and we will shoot because we have the initiative. It looks like chance to win it. Stonewall stop bullets, Lieutenant. But they're not invincible over there. They've got the firepower. Let's have the other squad keep their head down until Stern is ready. Okay. You give the order and your men take aim. The enemy is already partially suppressed, so this should be a little easier. Okay, so we're going to select this squad and we're going to shoot at this enemy here. You signal Sergeant Grant across the way. He replies with equal vigor and gets the other squad into position. A glance through your binoculars reveals Private Roberts as the soldier squints through the circular iron sights at a distant target. Beside him is Private Hancock, who apparently has again mislaid the protective ears on either side of his submachine gun sight. No doubt you remove something he considers to be a distraction. Okay. Do a little shooting myself. Remember to ask Hancock about his weapons later. Keep the weapons slung. I'm going to keep the weapons slung. See, an officer's duty, the officer's is not to be distracted by trying to himself engage the enemy. When you look down your gun, I don't necessarily mean the sights, it might be the sights, but when you look down your gun, you get very narrow focused. And you may be very, very well focused on that task. But that's not your job as an officer. Your job is to be situationally aware of if you just have one squad, everybody's doing fine. But is there somebody, an enemy coming up on your flank, or on the other flank, is there friendlies moving into your line of fire? All of that kind of stuff. So your job is not to shoot your weapon. Things are going wrong for the officer to be shooting his weapon. That would just be a basic standard kind of thing. Yes. All right. So officers are more than foot soldiers trying to be one as a badger. Okay. See, hey, the game developers agree with me. That's probably it for the rifle work, Sergeant Bennett, as the referee makes his calculations. But we could give them a taste of 30 cal instead, some rounds, but lots more of them if we had permission to use the radio. Radios are not available, or no radios. However, we do have the flags, the umpire waves at a set of flags marked radio. You could always send a runner, of course, slower but more reliable if they don't get shot. Open fire. We should have with MG first. Rifles did some work. MG can do more. We can do rifles did some work. Look at that. Rifles took it easy, accurate shots. The MG can spit out a lot more lead, but that alone isn't enough. That was probably the lesson the umpire wanted to teach. Signal stern with flags, send a runner. I'm going to presume at the moment I could get up and wave flags without being seen by the enemy, but being seen by stern. So we will wave some flags. I learned back in Naval Junior ROTC semaphore, but I can't remember enough of it now to do it. You signal stern with the flags. He signals back in acknowledgement. All the while the enemy keeps their heads down. And the round then activates stern. Okay.
We further reinforce that sense of limited command and control by dividing the turn into leader rounds. If it's your leader round, you only get to lead your men, and you don't get to lead them during Stern's leader round.
Get the heavy weapons involved. You'll have to switch leaders by ending the round. The enemy will then have a chance to react by taking their own round, but that can't be helped right now. Stern confirms the message. The Empire mark his clipboard. Okay, just a little bit. The real star of this show will become the machine guns, those that can split out firepower under Stern's command. Coordination takes aim. Sergeant Bennett says the two of you watch Stern's men set up shop. No way around that, even if we had real radios. Okay.
Toward the enemy.
Now I have a question here. Hank, does ammunition play a role in the sense of running out of it, or do the troops always presumably have enough ammunition? It's just sort of a question. I may get to it in a brief. Okay, end the round. Open fire with the machine gun. So, looks like they will be surprised. We will get that's a sound to hear in fear, especially since the machine gun is firing at the enemy beyond the effective range of their rifles. Sergeant Bennett declares, though it would have been better if he bolstered the men first. Nearby, the field umpire checks his watch. Everything is timed. The umpire is more persistent than subtle. Okay, everything is timed. Directness. No limits. Okay. Now, see here. I would disagree with that not being a factor in the game. From my studies of, not heavily focused on World War II, but other things, it's often the side that runs out of ammo is the side that loses. It's not always the case by any means, but it really, these guys are limited to what they can carry. And once they can no longer carry it, once they're out of what they carry, they're no longer in the fight. They've got to go get ammo, because that's the way, by the time World War II is rolled around, the way, at least, we can talk about the Japanese and the bayonet charges, but that's, more of an edge case. And because those bayonet charges can only work effectively in limited conditions, shall we say. And they can be very, very effective in those limited conditions. In some cases, scenarios ask for some weapons have limited ammo scripted. The real limit is the number of orders you have. Basically, the scenarios are short to run out of ammo, or too short to run out of ammo. I hear you. There's so much more I don't know about World War II than what I know about. But you get down to the point that the British Rifle Squad is really just there to carry ammo for the Bren gun. That's basically it. They carry bullets for their Enfields, and once in a while they shoot their Enfields. But they're really just there to keep that Bren gun operating. Now, the Americans have a different philosophy, but in many ways, they're not as directly carrying ammo for the Browning 1919 machine gun. The BARs are, I mean, I really love the BAR, but it's just not that good of a machine gun. And since by the time the U.S. is being deployed to Europe, I mean, early days, the Philippines campaign and whatnot, they're still heavily using the 1903 Springfield bolt action rifle. Later on, just about every infantryman is who's carrying a rifle is carrying an M1 Garand. So you have significant volumes of fire, with the ability with the Garand. But still, they're carrying a lot of ammunition for the 1919s. And, so so the BAR, yeah, it's a light machine gun, sort of, kind of. It was designed to be somewhere between a full auto rifle and a semi-auto rifle, but now, of course, you have the M1 Garand as a semi-auto rifle. And you can definitely, for short bursts of time, use that BAR as a machine gun, but it's normally not enough ammo being supplied to it and can function with it well, because it does not have a quick change barrel. Neither does the 1919, but it's still a bit better as a suppressive fire. And so I really, the old joke is, I don't know how old this is, but it's been around for a while at least. I forget some of them. If you were in World War II and you see some movement over in the trees and you weren't sure who they were, you shoot at the trees a bit. And this is somewhat true, if you get a lot of machine gun fire, it's the Germans. You get some accurate rifle fire, it's the British. I know I just said the Brenton gun, but still, this is the joke. If they come out with their hands up, it's the Italians. I forget what the Soviets were. If there's nothing, bend over and kiss your ass goodbye, because you're going to be attacked by, or you're going to be subject to an artillery barrage or an airstrike. And that, to some degree, is what we're looking at with the ways of war between the different nations. The Germans really are going to focus on machine guns. The British, they're a bit more balanced in attack roles. And the Americans are going to win by putting overwhelming firepower on an identified target. And so, I don't know how often, and this would be an interesting case, how often that one side or the other gives up more likely because they run out of ammo, in their immediate, the guys that are in the building shoot up all their ammo. Well, are you going to stay in that building for the enemy to attack you? And are you going to charge that building while you're still getting decent return fire? Or do you, both sides fight, the guys in the building, whenever they see movement, they, pop off a few rounds, and the guys attacking the building are sort of continually fire suppressing. They're not looking for movement. They're just shooting in at the windows. And so long as once they start to move, they get, some fire back. But eventually one side or the other runs out of ammunition. And then, oh, hey, they're not shooting at us very well. We must have killed them. So let's go on the assault, when really they just ran out of ammunition and went to go get some. Just thoughts. Okay, directness. That was a lot of firepower, worth the weight carrying it forward. Lieutenant Stern will spot the fall of his units mortar rounds from his location, the umpire indicates. Okay. A leader can direct artillery from his position. Right. Okay. Mortars don't need to be able to see the enemy directly to lob shells at them. They need stern to be in a position to spot the fall of the rounds. The mortars could sit safely on the reverse slope, of course, of a hill and still contribute to the battle. In fact, that is the way they prefer to conduct themselves. Well, yes, the mortars.
Lay it on them.
Okay, left click on stern. Okay, so we just have stern selected now. Support fire. We only have mortars, and we're going to come down here and right click. You fired, you fixed, but no
Some of you will
casualties.
recognize this. But note there weren't any casualties. So, now we have to, ideally, flank and finish. And Dearborn, let's hope you can do the job here.
Oh.
So it's really about sort of laying down the field work for success. There's a lot of games that focus on drama of melee, but from what I've read, for instance, in Leo Murray's book, actually most assaults led to surrender or retreat because people suppressed don't really want bayonets in the stomach.
Yes, okay, so yes, you're mentioning the book here. Yes. And definitely, how do I put this? There very often could be the idea of one battalion facing off against an enemy battalion. But that doesn't mean the point of contact between those two battalions are going to be equal. In that the defending battalion is maybe entrenched, just foxholes, or in buildings, or in some sort of road cut, or whatever, and so they have a stronger position, but they're spread out because this isn't, in World War II case, this isn't World War I with a continuous front. There may be the idea of a front line, but there's always gaps between units and unobserved positions that you can maneuver around. So the defender has to set up and be defensive against multiple approaches. So the attacker, who also has a battalion, should be coordinating a significant element of his battalion to attack a single platoon or single company of the enemy's battalion. So at that point of contact, you may have half a battalion or whatever equivalency against just a platoon. And so you're overwhelming it with firepower. And so, as Hank is saying, that this game doesn't specifically deal outside of specific scenarios with the idea of running out of ammunition. But if you're being overwhelmingly fired at, you're going to try to withdraw. And you keep doing that point of contact with the enemy of overwhelming it. And then at some point, the enemy commander, if he's smart, will realize that he's being flanked or whatever, however you want to describe it, and decide to pull his unit out intact. If he's not that smart, or because he's not aware of what's going on, he will lose control of his unit, and his soldiers will just break. So it goes from being a functioning unit into a mob of fleeing men, if you will. Now, they might be able to rally or something at some point, but they're not doing it as a coordinated, orchestrated unit. So, okay. Flanking is more important. You will see you'll get punished with failing MC for frontal assaults. Oh, yes. Yes, um, I know Hank doesn't watch all my um, War Thunder, which I'll be playing tomorrow. War Thunder at about this time. Those who played can come in and join me, or you can watch and we'll play. I'm constantly, I'm sure I'm driving that tank. I'm trying to shoot that enemy well and doing all those kind of stuff. But if you'll notice, I'm constantly looking for the flank of the map or a flank of coming around and dealing with the enemy. So I mix the twitch movements of shooting, and driving and all that kind of keyboard action with that flanking strategy. So very much um, defense. Yes, defenders lose a lot of their firepower or defensive power when flanked. Okay, moment of calm and mid chaos. Okay, we'll move on with the exercise. The soldiers can do about a shell that was name on it. However, the squad isn't considered dead, merely pinned. They'll at least stay that way unless you execute an assault. Okay. A revealed enemy threatens the orange outline hexes. They get performed. Opportunity fire if units move through them. Okay. So you don't want to move through a orange hex. The odds of successfully initiating an assault can vary greatly. Even a moderately suppressed squad will almost never be able to manage it, but if a squad is in good morale, gets bolstered, takes the enemy in the flank, well, it will almost always commence the assault to see if the squad meets the criteria. Look for flanking morale boost indicators. Okay. Failed weapon range. Oh, we're supposed to. I didn't look down here. Okay, we end a turn. Now we want to select the units here. We want to bolster the unit.
That's the way!
And now we want to assault. Okay. Now is there just okay.
Don't stop!
All right. That's the way Lieutenant Sergeant Bennett waves you over. The enemy soldiers in their red armbands run off. It'll be harder overseas, but we got the method down. Use waypoint. Hank is saying control button. Oh, okay. So if I did the control button, I could have had the guys come around through that bottom hex a bit more. Okay. Behind, I gotta remember that. Behind him, the field umpire ticks another box on his clipboard. Okay, another enemy squad has been sighted. The field umpire notes they are attempting to reinforce the objective now. Begun a counterattack. You must deal with that. Yes, the Germans always counterattack. There, the field umpire says, but doesn't point. Whistle blows, the exercise resumes at once. Okay, new enemy here. Right, we have a new enemy. So let's go with Stern and failed weapon range. Okay. Don't want to move out into the open. That get him? Okay, I guess we just have to end the turn? Or am I missing something here? Click again, select MG slope. Going down your screen. Okay. Okay, that worked. Here we go. Now, Bill Fire makes another note on his clipboard. Great exercise so far, huh, Lieutenant? Lessons learned from the extended exercise will help save lives over there. Oh, the rare valid point. The field umpire's success proceeds. Okay, so now who do we want? What do we want to do? I think I want to continue here with him. And I don't know. Okay. Now I want to activate. No, well, he's the one. Okay. I'm not going to bayonet charge from there. Sorry. Mortar platoon. There we go. Okay, so we're going to end this turn. More like Elmer from Bugs Bunny. Okay, now we're going to come over to him. We're going to bayonet charge. We're going to hit control to here. I don't know if I did that right. I guess I didn't. Oh well. Activate this unit. And we're going to
You think I'd do this on purpose?
fire on them. Okay, well maybe next turn I'll get the makes yet another note. Squad is still out there, you better use everything we got. Okay. So now we're back to here. We got here, we're going to bayonet charge. But guess we can't. Oh, we can. To there. Why am I'm doing something wrong here. I know I'm doing something. Okay. I thought I had bayonet. Well, we're out of action point, so. Okay, well. One turn left. Let's see if I can get this done. Yes. Bayonet. Because this thing is popping up on me. Click here. Okay. Left click, right click, interact. Right, yeah. Well, okay. Why isn't it? Okay, why don't I click? I know I want to bayonet. I want to assault. Right click, control right click to select specific path. Yeah, I was trying to do that. Oh, bloody hell. Okay. Oh, we're out of turns. One turn left. Yeah, yeah. Whistle blows. Okay, can I do this over again? Mission minor defeat. Okay. Let's see if I can go back to a save. Because it was only one hex. Okay, save. Let's prior turn. Let's try this again. Okay, maybe I'm trying to go through the woods too much. All right. Yes, I'm trying to load this. Okay, where are we? Yes, salt this position. Oh, what the? Come on, no, well. I want to. How do you break out of this? Hey, Elizabeth, how you doing? Yeah, this is a no longer the we're going to continue. I don't know if I want to do that. You cannot go back in the tutorial. Well, I wanted to go back to a save. That's what the saves are for. Okay, well. Okay, go on.
No, no. When we left Fort Leonard Wood, nobody knew where they were going. I mean, they just loaded us on the train, and in fact, we didn't know where we were going till we got close to somebody. How it got out, but somebody said we were going to Camp Pickett, Virginia.
Okay, but we also don't have. Your screen's going to go blank because I'm trying something here. I'm going to come, reload, restart. You need at least I think you need a better way to get out, because I have a phone call I got to get out from what I'm doing. It just seems a little too locked in. Okay, saves. Okay. It's save. If not, I get out of the game and come back. No. Okay.
Being a
Well, let's kill the program, close all windows, stop, come back, launch again. Because I'll tell you, just give you feedback. I'm feeling that I failed not because no, yeah, this tutorial one, not because I didn't understand the mission. I failed because I didn't understand the interface. The game interface. Okay, so we're going to go back and replay all this. And it's pissing me off.
This is a leadership RPG. We're always going to be focused. This squad.
And yes, I definitely understand that the tutorial is to teach you the interface, but still, it's just the platoon leader, I believe. So you got the
Honestly, it would have been.
okay. Yeah, I'm going to nod this time. Okay, select your leader and move it. This squad, yes, yes. And bang, yes. Waypoints, right. And I know I was doing that. Whoa. Beach.
Thank you, Sergeant Bennett.
Rally. Okay. Rally the squad.
Anyone got a light?
Okay, so and turn. Okay. Squad versus squad, even numbers will be a tough one. No, it'll be a tough one. You gotta push.
Remember, Sergeant Bennett.
Okay, bolster the squad. So we're here. We're gonna bolster this squad. Oh, wrong. Right click and not left click. Okay. Let's see. I guess they'll be behind trees. And here. So we'll end the turn. End the turn. Left. What? Where was the time? Oh, well. Okay. Oh, here. Here. So we're going to bolster the squad and wrong. Right. Wrong line at 50. We're bolstered. We use the absence. These are the men. No, this is still training in Virginia, Elizabeth. They're just using the Vichy symbols for the the red team, the bad Americans. But we will get to Tunisia eventually. Here, I'm planning on playing this for a few Saturdays to come. Get into it. Okay, Sergeant Bennett Falls. Okay, it sounds true, right? Nodding. Okay.
A good leader needs to be able to think ahead.
We've already gone through this. I'm just catching up. We're going to do duty. Okay, click through all of this. Then we can come over here, prestige. So let's add that and this squad. We're going to add, since we did do better, first platoon is the special platoon. Well, we still have. Guess we've used up all we can do. Done.
Well, it was infantry.
Done this. Okay. Pick up the pace. Waves turn over.
Bennett tells me you're progressing, LT. So today we get to...
Okay, so select this squad. Shoot here. Select this squad here. Keep weapons slung. Yes. Signal with flags.
We further reinforce that.
That end toward the enemy.
So now up here.
Lay it on
So
him.
he's gonna click on him. So he's selected, and then indirect fire. Have a 60mm mortar. Oh, I keep forgetting right and left click. Right. Well, we're still back in 42.
He will recognize this.
In this.
But there weren't any casualties.
They come in the flank. Let's see if I can get this done correctly this time. Okay, he's leading right now, so we're going to select a machine gun, and we're going to fire over. You guys are great. They can fire twice each turn. Awfully handy. Everything though? Okay, so he's still leading. Okay. Oh, everybody's used up. So I guess we're ending this phase. Enemies doing their phase. Now we are here. We have this squad. There.
Let's get it done.
Flanked. Now,
Come on.
we should have bolstered first, maybe. We did it. Okay. Okay, we got a new enemy. Now, these guys are somewhat worn out. We're gonna... He's still leading, so, new enemy, yeah, we're gonna... They fire on them. No, I don't want to run up there and bolster them. Now, lead. And now we're going to call in indirect fire. And he's going to lead. We're going to bayonet assault. No, first let's bolster. Bolster. Right click. Now, bayonet assault.
Stay low. Think I do this on purpose?
There we go. See, now I did it right. Yes. Yes. The other squad has taken prisoner. No running off this time. Whistle blows. Now the exercise is truly over. Okay, now I'm getting the interface. Okay, no one out of action. Continue with story. Yes. Game saved.
Being a strong leader also meant being able to rely on others to help get the job done. That included fellow soldiers who had vastly different strengths and weaknesses than his own.
Final note to the paperwork: mission, major victory, men, minor victory. Okay, move on to the next exercise. Yes. Gather your men up, all three squads. Personalize your own officer first. Right-click officer's portrait and edit button. Guys is waiting. Hello, Spy Electric. Okay, let's see about aiding some men here. Right. If we can add that squad to 52, 67, 75. Do we want to? These guys are zeros right now. Add there. There we go. I think that's good enough for now. We're getting our company into shape. Two houses.
No, no. When we left Fort Leonard Wood, nobody knew where they were going. I mean, they just loaded us on the train, and in fact, we didn't know where we were going until we got close to somebody. How it got out, but somebody said we were going to Camp Pickett, Virginia.
Okay, and September 1942, Camp Pickett, Virginia. Your med, blah, 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 blah. Your med trudged down the road towards the next training site. Jeep comes up the other way, burdened with a big green army bags, mail bags. Think that's our mail lieutenant, Sergeant Bennett asked, given how the Jeep practically overflows with cargo. Some of it has to be for Nickel Company. I think something from my parents. Your parents worry about you. That's what parents do. Men are certainly distracted by the possibility of their own letters to Sergeant Grant. Glasses between Bennett and yourself, clearly eager for orders. Like down the Jeep. Okay, so let's look at this. We could go this just on, hey, which one we want to do, or we can go, hey, loyalty down, prestige up. Loyalty up, prestige down. Trust down, prestige up. Trust up, prestige down. Yeah, we're gonna get some loyalty here, but not. I think, yeah. Okay, you have Bennett flag down the Jeep, loyalty, prestige, good. You know it's bad when you're looking forward to a cold lunch, Private Morris says. Lanky soldier, could be worse. Private Patterson remarks, briefly glancing down at the slightly more rotund bonus. We could be Marines. Well, we just gained some loyalty, so this time give a little laugh to get some trust. We'll see how loyalty and trust work out in the game. I think a big component of small unit actions is trust in your leadership. That not that they're always going to be right or do the right thing, because anyone knows, and especially with experience, there's always going to be, the bad call. But that you trust that you got somebody who, how do I put this, is going to be able to make decisions, make them quickly, and they will mostly be decent, decisions. Maybe not perfect, maybe not great, maybe mostly good, but there'll be a decision. You're being shot at. Do you go to cover? Do you move? You move forward. Do you pull back? You immediately, you're being shot, presumably surprised because you don't, volunteer to go. Oh, there's the enemy over there. Let me go see if I get shot at. No, you're going along, and so you're just, getting shot at. Well, that's, often an unknown enemy position that's starting to shoot at you. Now, you may have an idea of general direction because, trust me, if you're being shot at, you generally know which way it's coming from. Not specific location, but is it to the left or to the right or to the front? You generally have that because, I've had bullets pass rather near me. You have a very good sense of, at least I have, of where that fire was coming from, in a, they're off to our left or they're off to our right or whatever. You got that. Not like, oh, hey, I've spotted the position, I know what to do. But you may get fire from the left and see, oh, very shortly in front of us looks like a position of cover. So, if you're the lieutenant, the sergeant, the whatever, and you go forward to the house. Now, if it may be a mistake because you didn't get fire from the house, but maybe they're also in the house and ready to ambush you as you approach. Where if you're getting fire in the front, and this is a surprise, so you're not ready to assault them, you fall back or move to the left or to the right, depending on your terrain options. Hello, MMDB. Loyalty and prestige are more important to get extra things like replacements and experience. Trust makes your men follow you. Okay, very good. Very good. This integrated company command operations the field umpire with the clipboard says his uniform is somehow crisp despite the heat, and right down to the black band of the field umpire neatly sets down his sleeve. The good news is that the next exercise is ready. The bad news is that you, Lieutenant, are not. Okay. Wait for the twist. This will not be a repeat of the last exercise, though. Lieutenant Stern and Lieutenant Dearborn will be part of Blue Force. You yourself will be acting as their captain. You will have limited time to consult with them. Okay, how much limited time? The field umpire attached as well. Hurry. No, we're going to hurry over for it because, hey, over the top of the rise, you find two lieutenants amidst the conversation. Stern paces about, kicking pine cones up with every step. Across from him is a man bearing tall without needing height. His hands clasped lightly behind him. Lieutenant Dearborn. Oh, Lieutenant, we were just discussing strategies while we wait upon the captain. I'm the captain for this field problem, yes. Okay, Lieutenant Stern says without the slightest pause. Dearborn says nothing upon finding. We gaze upon him. He tenders over a little nod of understanding of the situation. What do we know about the enemy? Reinforced platoon from Red Force. At least one machine gun. I didn't hear anything about that. In the briefing, Lieutenant Stern says, a very brief briefing. Okay, the Empire may have mentioned it in passing, Lieutenant Dubrow. Red Force isn't entirely in the building, unlike last time. They're spread out onto the flanks, likely as not. A warning whistle blows in the distance. And now I'm captain. The exercise begins. Let's get to it, Captain. Sergeant Bennett says, with captain of Wildcard is a wild card for orders. He can activate any unit in his company regardless of the active leader by using take command button. Furthermore, a captain can bolster, press, or rally any squad in his company that is merely adjacent to him. In this scenario, you will play on the map as Captain Lamb so that you can learn about the captaincy role. Captain can take command adjacent units. Captain can take command of machine guns or mortars, even if the rifle platoon leader is currently leading. He can also bolster, oppress, or rally a company. Okay, sure we'll get some practice doing this.
You may think tactical leadership is all about leading men in combat, difficult moral decisions, but frankly, a lot of it's about coordination, or what the military calls command and control. Wouldn't be a credible leadership RPG without some of that. And you've got some problems, LT. Look at you. You're inexperienced. You've got 4 orders to run 3 squads. Contrast the captain. He's got 5 stars. He's got 6 orders to run. Wouldn't it be nice if you had that? Well, maybe someday you will. Now, you're running a platoon. You're not running Stern's weapon platoon. You're running your 3 squads. And the interface reinforces your spotting them. They're ovals for your platoon. They're also over here. And you have an insignia for your particular platoon. You're reminiscent of the Cottonbalers insignia. And by the way, you can customize that.
The whistle is blown. The exercise begins.
Mortars, forward.
Select the captain, but do not move
Listen
after.
up.
Okay, what we're supposed to do. And rally this unit. Getting their shit in gear, but we can press them more. Restore order to a non-leader unit. Saying out of range, I guess. Since he's a captain, he can do it.
There's another reason we do lead arounds, to emphasize another coordination problem, namely coordinating your company of 4 distinct platoons, independently led. That's not easy, and so the rounds force you to choose what platoon is doing what. And there's a last reason. The military likes to say, the enemy gets a vote, meaning they're not going to sit quietly while you do all the wonderful things you'd like to do. They might want to do things that interrupt your plan. Kind of like happens in chess. You get a move, they get a move.
Okay, nothing like a few sharp words from the sergeant to get a squad moving again. Now we need them to lay down some fire, see whether the enemy is hiding over there. Okay, send a messenger to Dearborn, Sergeant asks. It's his men, and you'll probably have other things to take care of shortly. No comment, except to say that the captain's time is valuable, which is why you have subordinates that you can act in tandem with. Okay. Okay. We're going to try this. Captain can expend orders to supplement a platoon's action without having them pass around. That means the enemy will not have a chance to act for a while longer at least. Okay, so we want to use this squad. Okay, click recon by fire button and recon this by fire. So you remember earlier I was talking about if you see something that may be moving in the trees, you fire at it to see what happens. There they are, Sergeant Bennett calls out. They're dug in like a dog on Monday. Time for mortars. Nearby field makes a note on his clipboard. Quick wave of the flag gets Stern's attention. Now it's a question of targets. The refs want 2 objectives taken, and they want casualties to be light. Instead of wanting casualties to be heavy, okay, we'll do this different. Normally we want casualties heavy, but this time light. Okay, the 2 objectives are marked on your map. Certainly the refs will tell you when you have officially seized them, and if the enemy has taken them back, they will also tell you if you have inflicted necessary casualties on the enemy or destroyed key battle units. The clipboards are good for something after all. If no one is in possession of things, it gets a little tricky, at least until someone puts up the proper flag. Casualties happen. Okay. Right now the men are fresh. The objectives have not yet been taken time to give commands. Okay, so click to view the scenario victory conditions. Okay, so we need to take those 2 houses. All right. Use the captain. And we want to mortar. Okay. Well, we're going to use the 60mm mortar because we're shooting at somebody more in the open as opposed to somebody inside a house. Right click there. They are hopefully being suppressed. Right, go up the enemy over there. Registers hit, mortars have fired. You will shortly have heavy artillery available. Proceed to an overlook position to act as spotter for the rounds. Move to higher ground. Okay. We need to move there. And we're going to control, set waypoints. So that we don't run out into the open and get shot. See?
So let's see
I'm
some
learning.
of these leadership problems of command and control in practice. We've got an assault situation. We're hoping to take out these Germans here. To make it a little clearer, let's turn on bases. And why don't I bring down one of my squads? Notice up here it's indicating it's going to be my round because I'm doing something. So it's committed to moving my platoon. Now I could move everybody now, but I want to emphasize you don't have to do everything at once. Let's just say I want to pass to see what the enemy does. So I do. Luckily they're pretty passive. I'm going to creep these guys up. I'm going to use hotkeys to make this faster. Now I feel in pretty good position for an assault, but unfortunately it's my round, so I can't really start firing astern. Let's pass. Remember, leadership rounds, command and control. Stern's going to soften these guys up, hopefully. It's bolster, of course. You always want to do that to win a firefight. Wow, that was nice. We got them red right away. Let's just do one more to be careful. Though when they're red, you're usually in pretty good shape for an assault. But why not be overly cautious once? But I want to keep the momentum going. Now here's my problem. What if they've got a leader in there who's going to rally them? The enemy gets a vote, right? So I can't make my assault this leader round because it's Stern's leader round. So what am I going to do? Ah, this is where your ace in the hole comes in. Your captain.
There against his clipboard. You get into position. Here we go. Concealed view of the battlefield. Not perfect, but it takes a look at the houses down there. Enemy almost certainly inside. We could ring their bell with some artillery. Let's bring the thunder. Right. Okay, so we are... He's leading. Map. I'm going to go for that objective first. Flags go up, exercises paused as the refs check out your numbers and then verify things with their rangefinder. Eventually, they agree that the 105 scored good hits. Doesn't know. Wait. The umpire points down the hill at where the team of Stern's machine gunners have positioned. Big wooden log that represents a Browning 30 cal. Trouble is the weapon has blindside regards to its southern objectives. We're gonna send a run. That way it's clear, because if you're shouting a lot, they may not hear you. Runner gives the orders. Nearby, the umpire gives a little nod of approval. Okay. I'm not doing something right. Okay. Select the unit via take command. Okay, I did something wrong. Give it another round. They rallied. Okay. Okay. Yeah, I'm...
Hello, LT. I want to talk to you about one last nice aspect of your ace, your captain. He can influence troops adjacent. Doesn't sound that powerful, but it turns out to be quite efficient. So I'm going to have him bolster, I'll use hot
Okay,
keys
Hank.
here, this adjacent member of your platoon. You didn't have to pay. Let's bolster these guys. Still didn't have to pay. Notice the enhanced movement. And if you want to be sneaky, you can even take command of one of my, or I'd say one of your platoon squads, and pay their initial activation for their move. That leaves you free to do whatever you might need to do. Assault, lead firefights, etc. You can also rally. Powerful.
Okay. Well, back to here. Take command. Now we are going to take command, and we are going to okay, what am I? And okay, I think I did that. Add facing, change facing. Oh, maybe I'm supposed to be facing over here. There we go. I don't even know if I'm... Okay, well... Take command, and we want to change its facing to here. No, we want to... Yeah, maybe I need to be adjacent. Oh. Okay, guys. I'm going to have to come back to this. As I say, it's a bit of a learning curve. I'm really enjoying it. I think Hank may be still away, but I'm intending to continue this next Saturday. So all of you, I hope if you want to, hopefully we will get out of the tutorial and get into North Africa. So thanks, Hank. Thanks, MMDB, Spy Electric, Folk, Elizabeth, Arno, of course. Who else has been here? Scrolling up to see Jamnuska. Thanks for hanging out with me. I think this is a fascinating game, and so I will be back tomorrow, Sunday, playing some War Thunder. If any of you want to join us, you're more than welcome to, whether just to watch or join us and play. But yeah, so tomorrow, War Thunder. Next Saturday, more Burden of Command. So thanks, everyone. You have a very good day.